I am tired. It is the 100th anniversary of Black History Month, and we have to spend one of the days dealing with the fact that Donald Trump, the president of the United States, is an unrepentant racist. Last night, he posted just an outlandish video showing President Obama and First Lady Obama as monkeys.
Can we get these swooshes sweet ass niggas a box of fucking Kleenex? Black people are the biggest political pawns in this country. You niggas on cue and on command will get overly emotional and outraged about anything. The only reason for why we're seeing the mainstream media talk about this is because they want you niggas riled up for the midterms about something. This happens every fucking time around the midterms, and you niggas are too low IQ to understand it. I'm tired of being used like a fucking political bioweapon to get outraged about stupid shit. That's what the fuck I'm tired of as a black person. Being used like a fucking toy, like an animal. And of course this nigga's crying about fucking Black History Month. Nigga, fucking please. Pull the tampon out your pussy, nigga.
Hi, let's pause. This right here is where the temperature spikes immediately. Yeah, because whether you agree or disagree, that's not even a point. What matters is what he's accusing. Distraction cycles, emotional triggers, election year outrage loops. You know, that's a pretty heavy claim. And what's interesting isn't even the rent. It's how many people are starting to question who benefits when attention gets redirected, you know, and what conversations never get had because of it. And make sure I worded that correctly. And once identity and narrative gets questioned, that opens the door to the next layer. Let's go ahead and roll that thing real quick if I can get it loaded up.
Jesse Jackson said that African Americans should be how you refer to Black Americans in 1989, and then people just ran with it. I never understood the term African American. I'm not African. I've been in the United States for a very long time, born here, obviously, but my ancestors been here for a long time, since the 1600s in Virginia. So there's no African American. Okay, we're Black American. That's just what it is. So some may use that term, but I don't use that term. So I'm not really into squabbling over who could use it or not. I just say Black American. Whatever you want to call yourself is your thing. If you identify as a dinosaur, a pet gerbil, a jackrabbit, whatever, it's fine. I don't really care, but I'm going to call myself Black American. And I think the majority of us would say the same thing. We're Black, not African. Shout out to my Africans, who I love y'all, but we're just not y'all. Just like if you have a white person who's been here since the Nina and the Pinks and the Santa Maria talking about they got family back in the old country. What old country? You talking about Arkansas, Tennessee, Louisiana, Alabama? What old country you talking about? Ain't no old country. You're an American now. You didn't come here in the Ellis Island days. You came here in the year 1775.
See, now this is where things pivot from politics to identity, because this ain't party talk. This is definition talk. Who are we? What labels actually mean? And who decides them? And you can see why this resonates online. People are moving away from umbrella branding towards lineage, history. You know, it's not rejection, it's distinction. And once identity gets reframed, history starts to get revisited too, y'all. Let me go ahead and roll it.
Day 2 of exposing Black history, because like it literally didn't even happen. I've heard for my whole life that we can't understand American history without essentially orienting the entire conversation toward the practice of slavery. Thus, we must take time to discuss the first legally recognized slave owner in the American colonies, a Black man named Anthony Johnson. Now, I don't know why we don't learn about this guy in school. I mean, he got to Virginia in 1621. Historian Philip Foner called him the patriarch of Black property owners in America. So essentially, Anthony Johnson was kidnapped by African slave traders in southern Africa, sold to the Portuguese, sent to Virginia, where he eventually earned his freedom. But then he would go on to purchase slaves himself and even use the legal system that we're told is so systemically anti-Black to take a Black slave away from a white guy, and then he would end up becoming, you know, an extraordinarily wealthy tobacco farmer. So I don't bring him up to be like, oh, look, Black people can be successful in America. We obviously know that. It's just to say that how he obtained that level of success seems to be a bit typical for that time. time, wouldn't you say? So he had 5 indentured servants. He had 4 white guys and 1 black guy. A little bit of a sidebar on indentured servants. I don't know if you know this, but because indentured servitude was a temporary labor contract rather than lifetime ownership, like with slavery, they were often treated far worse than slaves were. They were worked harder, they were beaten worse, they were starved more because their masters had no long-term interest in their health, which is why the mortality rate of indentured servants was actually much higher than slaves. By the way, indentured servants in America, overwhelmingly white, just if we're keeping score. But the one black indentured servant that he had was a man named John Kaser. He claimed that his indentured servitude contract was only 7 years, and so he wanted to leave, and his wife and his kids begged Anthony Johnson to let them go. But Anthony Johnson said, "What are you talking about? There's no contract. I simply own you." So John Kaser leaves anyway to go work for this white guy on his plantation saying, "Hey, I'm a free guy now." Anthony Johnson literally chases this guy down and gets the courts involved to say, "Nope, I'm taking you away from this white guy. I actually own you for life." So because of Anthony Johnson, John Kaser became one of the first Africans in America enslaved for life as a result of civil suit rather than punishment. It's like literally on his Wikipedia page. That's what he's known for. Save me the crying about American racism when black people were literally enslaving other black people on American soil before George Washington was even born. Truth matters. I love black people.
Wow. And here's where the internet loves to throw gasoline. Because uncomfortable historical nuance travels pretty fast, y'all. Not because it's new, but because it's not emphasized. And when people hear something that challenges classroom simplicity, they don't just react, they dig. I mean, dig deep. Whether the takeaway is agreement, rejection, or deeper research, one thing happens every single time. The conversation, it stops being surface level. And once history gets questioned, people start pulling numbers next. You know, and that's what we're about to do. Let's go.
Now, why would that be? Why would one story demand 100 articles and another story 0 articles? And it's because the media is more interested in the all capitals story, the narrative, than the facts or the truth. Take a look at the difference here. I want to show you the actual truth when it comes to crime. The story is about race. Race. Take a look at the black on white crimes, 385,000 in 2023. The white on black crimes, just under 118,000. You see the comparative numerical difference. But now here's what the media actually does. They did what our camera operator just began to do a moment ago. I'm going to step out of the way. I'm going to show you literally what the media does with a camera. They zoom in on this number. This number, devoid of context. Now, why would that be? Why would one story demand 100 articles?
Exactly. Now, this is where discourse usually explodes because statistics are nuclear online. Some people treat them like gospel. Others treat them like manipulation. Most don't even check, methodology. I'm trying to learn this word. I've been struggling with this word all day. But here's what matters most for our purposes. Perception versus coverage. When people believe the spotlight is selective, trust erodes. Narratives fracture and sides harden. And when trust breaks, ideology, starts getting blamed. I want y'all to watch this.
You know who white conservatives despise more than anybody else? It's not black people. It's not Hispanics. It's white liberals. Because the worst parts of the black community are enabled by white liberal policy. And the worst parts of immigration is a result of white liberal policy. The worst part of the trans community is enabled by white liberal activists. Everything that is wrong with our country is the result of liberal policies that are championed and signed off by white liberals. They destroy everything under the guise of compassion and equality, but in reality, they enable people to remain inferior and infantilize the black community with taxpayer dollars and incentivize illegal immigrants not only to stay, but to keep them comfortable. And they don't even know it. That's the scary part. They don't even realize that they are the problem when they think they are helping. You know who white conservatives
I'm not gonna lie,
despise?
that instrumental was nice. That right there, though, it taps into something deeper than party loyalty. This taps resentment, dependency to base policy consequences as well. And you're seeing a reoccurring pattern today, not, opposition voices, internal criticism voices, rather. which politically hits very differently because critique from outside gets dismissed. Critique from inside, it spreads. But speaking of the inside, let's go ahead and just roll this next one.
Do you want to know why conservatives and Republicans hate white liberal women so much? It's because they need us.
No, Scarlett, the issue is your overt racism wrapped in a smile and a white savior complex. Yep. You've been conditioned to believe that nothing can succeed without you, that our progress requires your approval, your presence, and your guidance. And because your sense of value is tied to being needed, you've created policies and movements that keep people dependent on you. Because the moment a Black person or a Hispanic person doesn't align with your value system, the one that positions you as the gatekeeper to our success, you flood our DMs, calling us traitors to our race. Yep. You police us like overseers. Yep. You put us in our place and you chase us like slave catchers, trying to drag us back into dependency so you can keep calling yourself an ally. That's why people are done with white liberalism. Facts. It's not because you're powerful. It's because you need to feel like you are by any means necessary.
This clip right here is why strategists lose sleep, because independence language is contagious. Self-determination messaging spreads fast online, especially when it challenges savior narratives. And once voters start framing themselves as, autonomous decision makers, party ownership weakens, which leads directly into the historical accountability argument.
Can we talk about the fact that the Democrats are the true racists? Or can we talk about the fact that they're the ones that authored the most legislation that is detrimental to the Black community? Do I have to mention the Great Society Act, which separated Black families and made Black women whores to the government? Or the 1986 anti-drug abuse bill, which locked Black men up disproportionately? Or the 1994 crime bill, which made states build prisons all over to put them in? And I know you guys don't want to talk about the fact that they're the ones that authored the Jim Crow laws. They're the ones that were responsible for placing poll taxes and literacy tests so Black people couldn't vote. Y'all don't want to talk about that, do you? And I know you guys don't want to talk about the fact that the Republicans were the ones that fought to end slavery and were fighting for your Black ass. Not to mention that the first Black representative in Congress was a Republican, and also the first senator was a Republican as well. Oh, and also, more Republicans voted for the civil rights than Democrats. Hope this helps.
Now, this is where history becomes political ammunition, if you will. Legislation, timelines, party evolution, policy impact, whether people accept or dispute interpretations, this type of messaging lands because it sounds confident, detailed, and structured. And confidence spreads faster than nuance on the internet. However, not only does it sound confident, these are actual facts that we negate in the Black community for whatever reason. Which brings us to modern campaign framing. Crockett.
There are those that have their own motivations for critiquing, and I think that the people
is it just racism and sexism? Like, what do you think it is?
I think there's a lot of things. I think it depends on who it's coming from. But I've been a Black woman my whole life. So this idea that I'm going to go and be like, oh, well, they're being racist or misogynistic towards me. Like, you think I didn't know I was a Black woman when I woke up and decided that I was going to run for the United States Senate? Mm-hmm. You think I didn't factor in and make sure that we had enough room to account for that? We did. There are those.
And here we arrive in present day electoral reality, identity, anticipation, bias, expectations, and campaign positioning. This clip shows the contrast between narrative framing and public reaction framing, right? And that tension right there is exactly what fuels political momentum cycles online, which leads us to the clip that started this entire thread. Pulling in my head today, y'all. Let's run it.
I got fired from United Airlines for being a Republican because my coworkers didn't like the fact that I was voicing my opinion on an app, which is my own page. And I'm not bashing United Airlines because United didn't do this. It's the people I work with and the people that work for them. I told them the allegations that came from this anonymous person stated my full legal name. I was like, my TikTok name is not even my real name. This person put my first name, my middle name, and my last name. This person utilized company resources to report me anonymously and said that I am a United flight attendant. So nobody was able to identify me. And it came from in-house. It came from in-house. They didn't care that somebody leaks my phone number. They didn't care that somebody leaks my full legal name. They just didn't care. The lady, for the last week, I knew I was going to get fired. I just literally knew I was going to get fired because she was all over my TikToks, posting comments all over my TikToks. And best believe, since you decided to just comment on my thing, I'm not going to say her name, but I'm going to give you a hint.
He decided not to, I guess. Now, this takes the conversation outside politics and into cultural institutions, workplace ideology, speech boundaries, and corporate policy perception. Whether the claim proves accurate or incomplete, that's secondary to the viral impact. People believe viewpoints are carrying consequences. And once that belief spreads, it doesn't stay contained. It feeds directly back into everything we just watched. Identity, history, policy, trust, representation, all connected. This right here is a sad reality of what the Democrats have been able to create based off rhetoric. Now, look, you don't have to agree with every clip. You definitely don't even have to agree with any of them. That's never the takeaway here. The takeaway is noticing the shift. Different voices, different angles, different questions, different opinion, independent signals. Signals. Sheesh, I'll be talking too fast. I mean, words just be da-da-da. And that's enough. You know, when enough of those start appearing at once, that's enough, man. That's when the political landscape moves quietly before the headlines can catch up. So, if you made it to the end of this video, I want you to put... No, I was finna make y'all write a whole sentence. I was finna say, let's not allow history to repeat itself. But let's put history repeats in short for that. Y'all be safe. Go be checking somebody today. What did I just say? Go check on somebody today. You can quite literally be saving a life. God, we need to have a talk about me and the brain to malfunction, because it be malfunction. Y'all, I said it already. Peace.